Hey, good morning, everybody. Some cool things. Finally had a couple breakthroughs over the last couple days. Macros looks like it is working now. I did run across a couple bugs having to do with instancing, where when I tested it by plugging multiple controllers in, each using the same profile, apparently each controller was using an instance of the macro that existed within the profile. Meaning that macro was being shared, the actual state of the controllers and all that stuff, and they were overriding each other, and it caused a mess. I was able to fix that by creating some code that actually duplicates the macro into the device wrapper when that device arrives. So it looks like everything is running smooth and clean now. And it's good enough. The UI is, the UI is still not pretty. There is going to be like a polishing run that's where I'm going to go through the entire application and clean up like setting control UI. But it exists in a state good enough where I can show it real quick. As soon as I find the button, there we go. Fire this up. Hopefully it doesn't make a liar out of me. I actually had the first test only a few minutes ago. Alright, so this is the one I'm going to use, the actual 360 plugin. I'm going to use my, grab it over here. I'm going to use my Xbox One controller plugged in via USB, and that's player 1 down here. And let's see, we're going to go into the profile for it. Actually, while I'm here, might as well show off. Small tweak here. I created an option where you can create a new profile just by clicking this guy. And you see that it creates a new one and it selects it. As a matter of fact, I'll probably even have the profile editor pop up or something once you do that, because you're probably going to want to edit immediately. But yeah, just a little quality of life kind of little thing I wanted to put in there to make stuff easier. But anyways, going in here, profile 1. We are going to add a new macro. This is a bug. This shouldn't be visible to you. This is just like an instance GUID that I had to create to make sure that, and if there was a case of macros that had the same settings, that it could tell if they were in fact the same or not. So I'll have to hide that tab. But yeah, you can name it, execution type, you can make it execute once or repeat for as long as you are holding the trigger down. Triggers, this is the major UI piece that was missing. Now we can add a trigger. Let's see, we're going to go input button pressed. I only have a couple triggers and a couple commands in here just for testing. But now that things are running smooth, they are very easy for me to bang out. Let's see, we are going to use Xbox controller button A. And the command for button A is we are going to minimize InputMapper. We're going to create another one. Actually, we're going to name this one too. Triggers, add trigger, button B, command, restore. Yep, okay. So now that that's done, it should automatically take place. Push A, hide it. B restores it. It's as simple as that. And obviously, like I said, these are really easy to create. I'll even show it to you guys now. The button press. I know this looks a little bit complicated. A lot of it has to do with the button press requires some special stuff to actually late bind controllers. And that means, you want that macro to still work even if the controller arrives after the macro is already set up in memory. So that's what a lot of this is about. You see here, device ID, where it gets the ID now or later. This has the ability to pass the callback and to go to that callback either immediately if the device exists or at a later time if the device ever arrives later. But anyways, this trigger is all self-contained. So if I want to create more triggers, all I have to do is anywhere in my application or any plugins or anything like that, I just have to create another block of code like this. And you'll be able, I'll do a little tutorial and all that stuff showing you guys how to do all this stuff in your own plugins and all that stuff, and be able to add them to InputMapper. Where if you got some other applications that have some sort of an API that you want to be able to control through InputMapper, you'll be able to do that. But that's what a trigger looks like. A command is even easier. Let me see if I can find it. I need to clean up my organization a tad here. Let's see, set profile. We'll do the minimize and restore. These are the two that we were just playing with, and that's how easy that is. All it is just a class that implements an interface and has an execute method. That's all it is, and inside that execute method you just put whatever code you want to actually be run when that command is executed. And there's other stuff that I'm working on right now too, such as containers. Let's see, I don't think I have any command containers ready to show yet. I do have some trigger containers. Trigger wrapper group, there we go, or wrappers. What this is that you can actually create a trigger within a trigger, and those groupings can actually have logic where it says if any of these conditions inside in any of these triggers are true, then this trigger itself is true, as opposed to the opposite where it would be an AND joiner, where it says that all of these conditions must be true for this trigger to be true. I know that's a little complicated. I actually haven't tested this yet. Maybe it's easier to show, assuming it is functioning. Let's see, we'll go back over here to profiles. Profile 1. Let's do this one. Triggers. Add trigger. Oh, yeah, okay, this is why I haven't tested it yet. The reason why these are blank is because I don't have the description information above it like I do for this one that has all the information that kind of defines the group and all that. But I'll play around with that, see if I can get that working before I push a nightly build, because that's one of the cool features that other versions of InputMapper didn't have. So yeah, with this working, my two biggest things right now are a UI polish across the board for the entire application. There's a lot of things that need to be made a little bit more user intuitive, as well as things that don't really conform to the way the rest of the application looks. So I'll do that. And then obviously I have to create a bunch of triggers and commands and all that stuff to make this new feature actually usable. You guys are obviously going to want more than just button presses to being able to minimize and maximize InputMapper, so I'll whip a bunch of those out. Yeah, that's about it. I did find a bug. If you guys are using any of the more recent nightly builds and you are noticing your mouse freezing like every few seconds, I found a bug with the direct input plugin. The enumerator where it's fetching the devices, for some reason, and this actually isn't even in my code, in the actual direct input API, when it's looking for devices, it'll actually freeze them all for a moment while it's looking. So that's a pain in the butt. I can't have that. So yeah, if you guys have an issue, just disable that plugin. I'll see if I can find a workaround. In the meantime, locally, what I did is I made it so that it doesn't check every 3 seconds for that plugin. Now that plugin will only be a check on start. And that's just like a temporary fix. I'm hoping to find it so I can still keep it, so you can hot plug controllers in that plugin. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for the continued support. Remember, if you plan on doing any Amazon shopping, use the link either below this video or in the InputMapper 1.7 application itself. You'll see a menu option. Using that link helps us generate commissions on sales, and it doesn't cost you guys anything. All right, guys, have a good one. I will see you next week.